Developing tolerance for imperfection is the key factor in turning chronic starters into consistent finishers. Let's talk about why perfectionism is screwing you over. When you're a perfectionist, you have grand ideas that you want to do so much and you want to do so well that you don't do anything at all because you're not sure that you'll be able to do it perfectly. When you are a perfectionist, the second that you don't tick a day in your habit tracker, you give up completely. When you're a perfectionist, you start things and then you refine and you refine and you refine and you refine until you give up because it doesn't meet your high standards. And when you're a perfectionist, you are really bloody hard on yourself unnecessarily, creating a horrible relationship between you and getting things done. There are some traits of perfectionism that will serve a perfectionist well. You get things done amazingly when you do them. You have really high standards, and if someone wants someone that will do things right, you are the person to go to. But a lot of your perfectionist tendencies are pulling you down as opposed to pushing you up. When you release content on a weekly basis like I do, it is actually really hard to be a perfectionist. You are every week fighting your perfectionist tendencies. However, I do have some perfectionist leanings. For example, I recently released a Skillshare course and genuinely considered not releasing it because I didn't like the way that my hair looked in the videos. I also have a lot of videos that I filmed that were longer term videos that I put a lot of time and energy into. I didn't end up uploading because they just weren't quite right. As a small perfectionist tendency, I've definitely refilmed a few Instagram stories because I didn't like the way that I sounded the first time. In saying that, I've also released a lot of content that I'm not 100% happy with and had it do quite well. As Gretchen Rubin says, the 20-minute walk that I actually go on is far better than the 3-mile run that I never start. In this video, I want to talk about some strategies that you can use to move past perfection and move towards a progress mindset. Tactic number 1 is to give your goals a range. Perfectionism embraces an all or nothing mindset. Meditate, run, create a piece of art every single day, or don't do it at all. Habit streak your way to perfection, and when you miss a day, give up and label yourself a failure. To oppose that frame of thinking, try giving your goals a range from high end to low end. Your high end is amazing. What a champion if you achieve it. On the other hand, if you don't achieve it and you just hit your low end, that's okay too. For example, for an exercise goal, have a high end of get in movement for 20 minutes 6 times this week, and a low end of get in 20 minutes of movement 2 times this week. For a meditation goal, have a high end of meditate 3 times for 20 minutes this week, and have a low end of meditate 2 times for 5 minutes this week. By setting a high end and a low end goal, you'll be able to achieve success no matter where you end up on that range. So you meet your perfectionist standards and you actually start ticking off the things that you want to do. In one study, there were members of a weight loss club that wanted to lose 2 pounds per week. They were assigned to 2 different groups. There was a single number goal group, so lose 2 pounds per week, and then there was a range group, so lose 1 to 3 pounds per week. Only half of the people that were assigned a single number goal signed on for an extra 10 weeks of the program, whereas 80% of the people that were assigned a range goal signed up for the additional 10 weeks. I don't think that the goals that they set in that study were very helpful. I think that goals that you can't control are demotivating. I imagine if they'd set goals similar to work out 1 to 3 times per week as opposed to lose 3 pounds per week would have been more helpful. Tactic number 2 is to cut your goals in half. According to John Acuff, the author of Finish, Give Yourself the Gift of Done, cutting your goals in half increases your chances of success by 63%. This is something I believe in a lot. Big, hairy, audacious goals are great, but goals that you actually get done are so much better. Perfectionism encourages you to give up on your goals as soon as they feel too big, as soon as they feel overwhelming, as soon as you feel like there's no way that you could get them done. So by cutting your goals in half and making them far more doable, you make it far more likely that you will follow through. And if the idea of giving up your wild big goals doesn't do it for you, maybe you are someone who likes to dream big, I would encourage you to set those wild big goals as your stretch goals and then have your more realistic goals on the other side, similar to the low end and the high end. By cutting your goals in half and actually getting them done, not only are you getting the goal done, which is fantastic, you are also creating the identity of someone who gets their goals done, which to me is far more important than achieving big, hairy, and audacious goals. You want to create the identity of a doer. You want to create the identity of someone who finishes things. And you can only do that by giving yourself lots of small wins. Wins create wins, so give yourself a higher chance of winning by cutting your goals in half. Tactic number 3 is to create bookmark habits for when life gets hard. The term bookmark habits is a phrase that I stole from Sarah, who runs the blog Yes and Yes, and I absolutely love it. Your bookmark habit is just a tiny mini version of your habit that you can get done even on a busy day and even on a day where you're really not feeling it. Some examples of bookmark habits are doing the 5-minute booty workout on busy days where you can't do a full workout, filling in just the time block section of your planner when your afternoon is crazy and you can't do your full-on daily review and planning session, writing 1 paragraph versus writing 1 page, on the days where you wake up late and your mornings get busy, posting 1 time rather than 3 times when you have a busy day. In a way, this is similar to having a high end and a low end, but you're doing it for the individual habits. You're planning for the times where you're not going to be able to perform well, and those times will come. You're going to have bad days, you're going to have busy days, you're not always going to be able to do your habit perfectly. Particularly if you're someone that finds that missing a day is a real trigger for your perfectionist tendencies, this can be really helpful. If you liked this video, you're definitely going to like my video on discipline doesn't work, here's what to do instead. In it, I talk about how relying on willpower isn't the most helpful way to live your life, and I give you some alternatives that you can do instead. I'm going to have that video linked on the screen as well as down below. I appreciate you so very much, and I will see you soon.